Hello, YouTubers, and welcome back to another episode of The Grandstand here on the Ohio Patriot Education Network YouTube channel. I am, as always, your host, AR, the Ohio Patriot, and for today's episode, we're going to talk about why California native and Hollywood dipshit pseudo-celebrity slash Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider's opinion doesn't and shouldn't matter when it comes to Ohio laws and legislation. So, like I said, Amy Schneider, the man pretending to be a fucking woman who won a bunch of Jeopardy games and has since become like basically 15 minutes of fame asshole is what it is for being the first trans woman to win the fucking thing, taking the title away from actual biological females, by the way. Slapping the face to every fucking real woman out there is what it is. And wants to come here to Ohio in the last day or so and bitch and moan about a piece of legislation, specifically HB 454, that would ban the transitioning of children with hormone blockers and stuff like that, as it should be at this point. And what I think is absolutely ridiculous about the whole situation is you have Schneider themselves bitching and moaning about, basically allowing like parents to transition kids and stuff like that. People don't want to talk about these transition drugs, dude, and I will, and that's a big thing. That's the one piece of credit I will give to people like Buck Angel and Blair White is that they've talked about this stuff before, dude. I believe it's Lupron is what it's called. It is a transition drug that they put on these kids that sterilizes these children, dude. It's the exact same stuff that they give to sex offenders in prison, child molesters. And my biggest problem with the whole thing is like, unless you're sitting there and trying to groom kids, why the fuck would you be against this, dude? What's very interesting too, in looking at some of these articles we have today, there was roughly 200 something people that were testifying both for the legislation to stop kids from being transitioned and against it. And I believe it was about 40 or so that were there to testify against it, including Schneider's ass, which tells me one thing. And they said Ohioans are sick and tired of seeing our kids preyed upon by sick fucks, is what it is, dude. And that's the big thing, right? When you look at these people like your Amy Schneider types and stuff like that, dude, these people understand that they are a super minority. They are a minority of a minority of a minority of a minority. They make up roughly, I believe it's like a fraction of a percent of our entire population. It's maybe like 100,000 out of like, or not, I'm not sorry, not even 100,000. It's probably more like about 10,000 or so, give or take, out of like millions of people at that point. And the thing is, it gets less and less every day because these people, when you put these children, these gender confused children that you fucked with their heads their entire lives, when you put them on these drugs, what do? They tend to kill themselves. It's why you have these so-called trans kids fucking suicide rates skyrocketing like a motherfucker, dude. It's just insane to me. And then what's even more disgusting is the way that you have these fuckers at ABC try to push this crap, dude. Which, as long as I can pull it up here, I'll pull the file here. Which is ABC article, headline there. Yeah, it's not going to pop up now. But yeah, basically, as it says here for the headline, it said Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider says Ohio bill would be harmful to transgender youth. Well, first of all, there is no such thing as transgender youth. There are gender confused kids that you've had sick fucker adults fuck with that you're now calling transgender youth. There's a bunch of mentally ill children who have had mentally ill adults push their mental illness on. And that is the entire problem right now. Not to mention, we could sit here all day and talk about the fucking shit in our water supply at this point, dude. When you have forever chemicals like estrogen in our fucking watersheds, every place in this country, especially in major cities, and you wonder why suddenly you have feminized males pretending to be females, it's not that hard to figure out, man. It really isn't. It really is not that hard to figure out at all. Really, really not that hard to figure out at all. But then we got a couple other A couple other articles here I do want to discuss. Hope I can bring at least one of them up here. So this one is from Dayton Daily News, which was Amy Schneider testifies against Ohio bill banning transitioning of trans youth. So that is a misnomer of itself, by the way. That whole entire fucking statement right there. But look at this motherfucker's dead eyes, dude. Like, this dude has some fucking raccoon eyes going on, dude. They just look like a fucking psychotic nutcase in general, dude. Plus, you got a fucking 5 o'clock shadow roll in there and stuff, dude. Look at the fucking guy behind him, though, dude. That dude looks like a fucking predator, 100%, man. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised in the least if that person behind them was actually a trans man, honestly, if we're going to be serious about things. So, yeah, it's just fucking nuts, dude. It really is. It's just fucking nuts entirely. But yeah, as I said here, it said Jeopardy champion and Dayton native, which is a bunch of bullshit, by the way. This person is not a Dayton native. They live in Oakland, California now, dude. They may have come from Dayton originally. They may have been born in this state in Dayton, Ohio, but they have not lived here for fucking decades, is what it is, bro. They are a California native 100% at this point. Said Amy Schneider testified in Columbus, so yesterday afternoon, against proposed legislation that would prevent anyone under the age of 18 from taking steps towards gender transition. Said Schneider, a trans woman, no, you mean a fucking man pretending to be a woman, competing this week in the Jeopardy Tournament of Champions is among more than 200 people signed up to testify for it against the bill in Ohio House Families, Aging, and Human Services Committee. He said the bill would have devastating consequences on Ohio's kids. It said, Dayton is covering both sides' testimony, proposed legislation. It said previous reporting, a bit. Okay. This is what we actually do, by the way. This whole piece of legislation, this HB 454, says would prevent anyone under the age of 18 from taking steps towards gender transition up to a fifth hearing. So this is the fifth hearing for this one. But with a possible substitute bill coming, the quote, Save Adolescents from Experimentation Act, House Bill 44, is sponsored by State Reps Gary Click, who's now getting a second term in office, by the way, and Diane Grundell, who I believe this is her final term in office this year, would prohibit medical personnel, public or private, from helping minors transition, prohibit public funding to anyone who does so, as it should be, and prohibit insurance and Medicaid from covering any gender transition therapy or procedures for minors, again, as it should be. Same thing with the first thing, by the way. It said, as currently written, the bill specifically targets school nurses, counselors, teachers, principals, and other staff and officials, requiring them to tell parents, even if those parents are potentially hostile against a minor's gender dysphoria. Well, the whole point of the fucking thing entirely is, dude, if these kids supposedly have gender dysphoria, and let's talk about that right now, right? Gender dysphoria itself right now. Up until the DSM-4, you actually had gender dysphoria labeled as a mental illness. It was not until the DSM-5, the actual medical diagnosis books and stuff like that, that they took that out there. And we're like, no, this is not a mental illness anymore. And it was around that same fucking time that you have pieces of shit like Jazz Jennings come out of the fucking woodwork and their fucking dumbass family and start pushing the whole trans youth bullshit entirely in our fucking country, dude. And I'd like to point something out, by the way. The reason that gender dysphoria was taken off the mental illness list is because it's fucking greed and money from these sick fucking big pharmaceutical companies that are pushing these fucking gender drugs and gender transition surgeries on kids, dude. It's a bunch of goddamn Satanist pieces of shit that are doing this shit, dude. Anyway, continuing on here. Actually, that was in that little piece of article there. So going to the other article we're going to talk about, though. You have, I think this one goes more into it, actually, which is this Cleveland.com article here. And this one, I think, is the one that talks more about Click and everything going on there and stuff. So yeah, as I said here, it said Jeopardy champion Amy Schneider among dozens, asking Ohio lawmakers to reject bill that would limit care for transgender minors. Again, there is no such thing as a transgender minor, you sick fucks. There are confused children. Confused male and female children that you sick sons of bitches are putting your fucking disgusting, sickening ways of life on. that you're literally trying to make into the next generation of your fucking anti-American terrorists that you want to call activists. Actually, it's funny looking at this picture here. That same guy from earlier looks like he's got some eye rolling going on. Looks almost Satanist and shit, dude. It just looks fucking crazy entirely. Although maybe that guy was against it. That would be even funnier, actually. So, yeah. Who grew up in Dayton and Jeopardy champion, yeah. That doesn't mean they're actually a fucking Ohioan right now, dude. That's what I'm saying right there. Like, when they walked in there to testify, dude, they should be like, are you actually from Ohio? Do you actually vote in this state? Do you have any residence in this state? Oh, no, you don't have any of these things. Then fuck off back to Hollywood, motherfucker. That's what the lawmaker should have said that yesterday, dude. This asshole's what it is, dude. They should have been like, you're not testifying against us. You're not testifying for or against this asshole. Fuck you. You're not an Ohioan. Get the fuck out. But yeah, let's see. He said, drew on his experience as a child as he urged state lawmakers to oppose a bill that would limit the procedures that transgender minors can obtain, even if their parents are on board with the gender transition. Quote, I'm not asking anyone here to change their personal views on trans people. Well, clearly you are, you sick fuck. I'm not here to scold anyone about pronouns. Obviously you are, dude. Schneider said, I'm not asking you to do anything except not pass a ban that expands the government reach, not restrict the freedom of families and doctors and communities to decide themselves what their children need. Well, first of all, asshole, that's the whole fucking point. It's their kids. It's not your fucking kids, you sick fuck. It's not the fucking leftist fucking children at this point, dude, because shocker, almost all the fucking leftists don't even have kids anymore, dude. They want to fucking kill kids to the moment of birth and then fuck with your kids when they become indoctrinators that call themselves teachers in this country in 2022. They're college commies, dude. That's what it is. And again, it all go, like, you look at all this shit, dude. It goes back to several different things. It goes back to third wave feminism, women and gender studies courses. It goes back straight up to fucking Marxism, which is where the offshoot of feminism comes from. Third wave feminism specifically is what it is. And it goes back to the whole rules for radical stuff, dude. The Saul Alinsky tactics. It's accuse your enemy of what you're doing. And that's what it is, dude. It's them sitting there fucking trying to push all kinds of disgusting fucking behaviors and literal fucking sterilization of an entire generation of kids now at this point, dude. So that they can have more fucking people in their fucking bullshit clique. That's all it is, dude, at the end of the day. And it's all for money, too, by the way. Anyway, as it continues here, it says, the Ohio House Families, Aging, and Human Service Committee took almost 3 hours of opponent testimony against House Bill 44 on Wednesday. The committee also adopted a new version of the bill called a substitute bill with dozens of changes. This is what I think is bullshit, too, by the way. Substitute bill would continue to prohibit gender-altering surgeries for people under the age of 18, but it would allow puberty-blocking drugs and hormone therapies after a child has been in counseling for 2 years. Fuck that shit, dude. The entire point of puberty blockers is you are sterilizing a fucking kid, dude. There's no coming back from that shit, dude. You are permanently sterilizing that child. 730 days is not enough time to find out if that kid is fucking mental or not, dude. And if they really are that mental, then put them to an institution, dude, and get them the fucking help they need in the institution is what it is. Don't be putting them on fucking sterilization drugs, dude. Don't be permanently fucking up their ability to ever have kids in their life. Anyways, the doctors could be required to screen children for several mental health conditions and could prescribe the drugs and hormones after counseling with another unaffiliated physician who would have to agree with the treatment plan for the minor. So basically it's saying two doctors. And that's the problem again, too, by the way. When these doctors are being paid off by big pharmaceutical drug companies, dude, to push this shit, of course they're going to fucking sign off on it. Why the fuck would you ever let this be a fucking substitute bill, possibly, dude? It's fucking retarded. I'm going to call up Gary Click's ass and fucking chew his ass out tomorrow, actually, over this shit, dude, because fuck that guy. Anyway, it says new version of the bill would no longer require nurses, counselors, teachers, principals, or other school officials to, quote, out kids who tell them that they are transgender. Obviously, that was a pre-thing. This is here what it says. It said, those changes are an effort on my part and others to come to the middle, said Gary Click, a Sandusky County Republican who is sponsoring the bill. Fuck you, Click. You never give these fucking people an inch, dude. You give them an inch, they're gonna take a fucking mile, dude. It's just like that fucking cunt Delaney Tarr at the March for Our Lives event in like 2018, when she specifically said that whole fucking phrase, dude. When she was talking about the bump stock ban thing, she's like, "You give us that inch, that bump stock ban, we're gonna take a mile," and they fucking have. They've taken that shit on gun control, dude. It's the same exact shit here. You give them an inch, they're gonna take a fucking entire football field worth of territory to do this shit, dude. It's like, oh, you're willing to give us this? What else are you willing to give us? You're going to keep pushing it back? No, dude. Put your fucking foot down as an elected representative, as a civil servant of the people of Ohio. You're fucking boss's asshole, including myself. Even though I'm not in your district, you technically represent me as a fucking Ohioan in the state house, douchebag. Put your fucking foot down and you pass the original fucking legislation, dude. So, however, some people who testified said that the criteria doctors have to meet to prescribe hormone drugs and puberty blockers is unreasonable. Bullshit. No, it's not. Then it claimed Schneider, who attended schools in Dayton, including University of Dayton, told lawmakers that from as far back as they can remember, it felt as if he had an alarm bell going off in his head. Said Schneider described it as agony. Says he didn't start to feel the peace until he came out as transgender and began receiving treatment. So basically, until you prove that you're a mentally ill motherfucker and be put on a bunch of psych drugs and shit, that's when you actually felt normal, is what you're saying. Schneider said that other children undergoing care deserve to feel that peace too. Their lives will become unbearable if they have to stop the treatment due to HB 44. Again, they could move out of the state of Ohio and go to another state, like, I don't know, New York or California, that pushes all kinds of fucking psychotic lunatic shit, and live there. And live their lives that way, dude. It's fucking ridiculous, dude. Yeah, I love how this asshole says, I won $1 million on Jeopardy and became a minor celebrity. Flown all over the country, visited the White House, and almost, yeah, exactly. You visited fucking Biden's fake-ass White House, you fucking douchebag. Like, this is the entire problem right now, dude, is this kind of bullshit right here. This fucking ass clown this fucking ass clown right there becoming a fucking minor pseudo celebrity with a fucking 5 o'clock shadow and crazy ass looking raccoon eyes. It's like, good lord, man. Like, this is everything that's wrong with the country right now, man. Anyway, let's see. It said Nick Lashahia, the president and CEO of Ohio Children's Hospital Association, criticized the substitute bill's criteria for doctors to be allowed to prescribe hormone and puberty blockers because they were developed with no medical input. And how much you want to bet that this Nick guy is one of these motherfuckers who is big pharma? The fact that he's the president and CEO of this Ohio Children's Hospital Association, dude, I guarantee you this dude has his fucking hands in a bunch of people's pockets right now and is working with big pharmaceutical companies to push hormone drugs on kids, dude, at this point, and probably getting a fuck ton of kickbacks from it. In fact, I would say investigate this cocksucker right now for that shit, dude, entirely. It's a bunch of crap, dude, entirely. I'm not even gonna fucking read what this asshole had to say because it's a bunch of crap against the shit, dude, is what it is. So, and then we got some other person that claimed to be a parent of a transgender child and mental health therapist. Said the bill denies parents their rights to choose healthcare for kids. This person, this Shannon Scott Miller, needs to be arrested for fucking child abuse. Period, dude. All these people do. This is the problem with our society right now, dude. In a just society, you would have men in white coats at this hearing yesterday dragging people like Schneider off to the fucking nut house, dude. And the same thing with this Shannon woman, who I guarantee is much concerned by proxy, dude. So, and the fact, again, going back to the fact that she's claiming to be a mental health therapist. Y'all remember Patricia Getz? Remember Patricia Getz, man? The bitch that was running for Ohio State House here a couple weeks ago? I should say for the Ohio State Senate a couple weeks ago. Yeah, she lost to Christine Rogner, dude. Because she's a fucking nut. She's an anti-gun nut who is a child therapist. Stop allowing these fucking psychos to have medical licenses in the state of Ohio, people, for God's sakes. You know, and that's the thing. Look at that Shannon woman, dude. You guys might remember there was a story out of Texas a couple years ago about I forget what the kid's name was offhand, but his dad's name was James, and the mother was a child doctor, and she tried to make her son into her daughter, and some fucking piece of shit leftist judge basically sided with her in the case, to where dad had no parental rights anymore, dude. And as far as I'm aware of that case, pretty much the kid is fucked now. He's going to be transitioned to a female in a couple years, even though he's a biological male. And when he's with his father and doesn't have his nutcase fucking mother's bullshit in his head, he wants to dress as a boy. He's a fucking boy. He admits he's a fucking guy, dude. This is the problem, dude. It's mostly mentally ill women in our country that are pushing this shit on young males. And then what's even worse is you got these fuckers like Schneider who want to bitch and moan about like, oh, but for me, it was this whole thing. It's like, dude, again, you are a fucking super minority in that case. You are one out of fucking hundreds of millions of people at that point. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, yeah, for, you know, maybe 5, 10 people, it's not going to work or whatever the case be, dude. But guess what? Meanwhile, you have thousands of children who are going to be fucked with during that time, who are going to be pushed to transitioning, and they'll later go on to detransition. This is why I'm running my book right now, dude. And this is why I'm looking for people that have detransitioned in this country, dude. Because the detransitioners of this nation, dude, and across this earth for that matter, they're the ones that are being destroyed by the fucking leftists, dude. They're the ones that have had their lives ruined by these fucking leftist pieces of shit, dude. And that's the thing, going back to Schneider and stuff like that, dude. Okay, you're some fucking leftist douchebag, dude. Oh, you're transgender, now you're in the fucking clique. Guess what? As soon as you would detransition back to a biological male, they fucking cut you off at the nuts, bro. Immediately. That's how the cult of the left works at this point, dude. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. Hell, I've watched it fucking happen in front of me several times. To other people. Because all you have to do... Shit, man. Even the fucking... Right, even like the center and right at this point are the same way, dude. You say the wrong thing, they'll fucking cut you off at the nuts. They did it to me fucking back in April and shit, dude. People I thought were my friends in the 2A community here and stuff like that, they fucking turned their backs on me in a hot minute, man. Over nothing. And the entire point is, it's a bunch of shit, dude. And that's the thing, dude. When you have a fucking cult mentality, and you're like, oh yeah, you know, you're all good to go, bro, and stuff like that, or whatever, it's like, oh, we love you, we love you, we love you. And then suddenly you're not what they want you to be. Now all of a sudden it's like, no, you're my fucking enemy, bro. Like, that's the entire problem right now, entirely, dude. And that's what I'm saying. It's fucking ridiculous entirely, bro. It just disgusts me, man. It does. It really fucking does. And I think the biggest problem I have entirely with this whole thing is that, and this is something I've seen many times when it comes to opponent testimony in Ohio's House hearings and stuff like that, dude, is that what it's supposed to be is I believe you're supposed to get like 2 to 3 minutes, give or take, to actually testify and stuff. The problem is then with people like Schneider or like anybody else that was like an anti, you know, that were against kids being experimented upon is what it is. They are going to give these people like 10, 15, 20 minutes in some cases, dude. Because it's either going to be a couple questions they're going to ask them after the fact, or it's going to be like, oh no, you have like a 5-minute speech instead of a 3-minute speech. Go on ahead, motherfucker, because you're some pseudo celebrity. No, you're just a fucking asshole, dude. If you hadn't been on Jeopardy, if you hadn't won a bunch of games, dude, because you were fucking smart about certain topics and stuff like that, you wouldn't be anybody, motherfucker. You would be a fucking nobody. You'd be an engineer in fucking California someplace, dude. And that's the entire point. And this is what fucking bothers me so much, dude. You know, it would be no different than fucking Jake or Logan Paul coming back to Ohio and being like, well, I'm totally against this thing or whatever the case be, because they were born in this state, by the way. I'd like to point that one out. That's why I mentioned them as well. Or it would be like Dave Chappelle coming here and being like, well, you know, I was a Cleveland native for a long time in my life, and I totally sponsor this stuff or whatever the case be. I totally support it is what it is, dude. You know? It would be any of those things, dude, because again, Chappelle is from Ohio. It's like, nobody cares what you have to say, Hollywood people. Like, nobody fucking cares, dude. Like, we don't care about your fucking opinions because you don't live in this state anymore. You've left this state for a reason. You went to another state and are living in that state. You're a resident of that state. Fuck off, is what it is, dude. Your opinions do not matter in Ohio's legislation, nor should they. Unless you are actually living in the state of Ohio, have a home and a residence here, and have the right to vote in this state, your fucking opinion does not matter at a state level then, bro. And the fact, if you're doing that, by the way, and yet you're somehow like you're also living in a different state, like, and you potentially have like dual voting rights, like, pretty sure that's fucking super illegal, by the way. So, I don't know, maybe we should be looking to voter fraud if that'd be the case, man. But, yeah, it's just a bunch of shit entirely, dude. And like I said, it just pisses me off entirely, dude. And what's even more ridiculous about this whole thing is that you have the fucking thing there is what it is, bro. So, anyway, let's see. Yeah, you had some other fucking sicko fuck named Dara Atkinson, Secretary of Trans Ohio, who I guarantee Dara is actually a fucking dude. Fucking people, man. I'm so sick and tired of this shit, dude. Like, this is the real issue I have entirely with this country, dude, is why the fuck do we have the majority kowtowing to a super minority at this point, dude? Why do you have the squeaky wheel getting the grease every fucking time instead of taking that wheel off and tossing it off to the fucking side, dude, and putting on a new wheel at this point, dude, for real? You know, there was a time in this country's history about, I don't know, 70 years ago, give or take, maybe 80, like 40s, 50s, someplace in there, where you would have people locked up for mental illness, dude. Whether it be gender issues, whether it be, you know, other stuff along those lines. It's way past time to go back to that time period in history, man, and do what needs to be done to help this country out entirely, dude. And I think the reason that we haven't, honestly, is because, again, it goes back to about 40 to 50 years, give or take, of hormone drugs in our fucking water supply is what it is, man. And so you have what used to be, you know, alpha males, alpha females, et cetera, that would deal with this shit accordingly and be like, no, we're not letting this crap, we're not letting this fucking insanity go around in our society. We're locking this fucking shit up where it belongs. Now you have this, you know, decade after decade, generation after generation of people basically being knocked and being like, oh, but we just want gay marriage. Oh, we just want this. Oh, we just want that. Oh, we just want to fuck your kids now. And that's what it is, dude. And it's a slippery slope mentality. You know, people talked about the gay marriage and they're like, there's all these people that were like, no, we just want gay marriage. We'll never do anything else besides that, dude. And then all of a sudden it was, no, we just want to indoctrinate your kids. No, we just want to transition your kids. No, we just want to fuck your kids, et cetera. And that's what it's basically led to now, dude. And I'm not going to sit here and say that, you know, people that are gay shouldn't have the right to marry each other. Of course, you've had fucking Congress in the last couple of days do that shit now to basically codify gay marriage. To me, it's whatever, honestly. If you want to have civil unions, it's fine. It's whatever, dude. I don't give a fuck anyway. The entire point is, though, is that it has led to a slippery slope mentality in the past 20 years or so. And I think the biggest issue is that, again, it's leading to all these pedophiles now in our school systems, whether it be as teachers or whatever the case be, man. You know, we saw it the other day in Connecticut with that fucking one sicko who was fucking a Pakistani national and has now come over to America and got, I believe it was some kind of citizenship here. Basically talking about fantasy shit there, dude, to 7th grade girls. And I'm like, bro, what the fuck? And that's the thing entirely. It's so ridiculous, man. Like, there's no need to allow this shit in our society, man. We should not be allowing this kind of crap to go in our society. And when we keep allowing degradation to continue on in our society, all that we're leading to right now is you're having the pendulum that has swung up so far to the one side that when it swings back and potentially snaps off and destroys everybody in its wake at that point, you're going to have a fucking Hitler type rise, dude. I believe that seriously at this point. It's going to be a Hitler, a Stalin, a Mao, some mixture thereof is what it is, man. Some fucking dictator in America is going to rise up, man. I don't know who that person is at this point. They might not even be alive right now. Or they might be some little kid right now for all the fuck we know, dude. Or it could be one of these fuckers like a Maxwell Frost and stuff like that. One of David Hogg's buddies there that got into Congress recently. You know, it could be one piece of shit like that, honestly, dude. Or they become some fascist dictator type of stuff like that in 10 years from now or something like that, dude, 20 years from now. Because we've allowed things to get so fucking insane right now that without pushback, without actually pushing back against the shit and being like, not one more goddamn inch, and then you shove them back about 50 feet and being like, no, fuck you, that's the line in the sand now, asshole. Like, that's what needs to happen right now, honestly, dude, for real. And I think you're finally seeing parents and you're finally seeing Americans, patriots, etc. in this country rise up against this shit and being like, no, fuck you. Enough is enough of this crap, dude. We're taking it back now. We're taking back the sanity is what it is, and we're pushing your insanity the fuck out of here is what it is. And it's sad that it's gone this far, dude. It's sad that it's taken, you know, multiple young women to be raped in fucking schools because you have sick fucks out there that want to allow dudes into fucking females' dressing rooms and stuff like that, dude. Into girls' locker rooms, etc. Because you want to allow fucking dudes to compete in women's sports, because you want to allow fucking mentally ill men to be able to fucking go ahead and do whatever the fuck they want is what it is, dude. And then you want to sit there and talk about women's rights and stuff like that. And it's like, dude, first of all, when these leftists want to talk about women's rights, what they're talking about legitimately is killing kids in the womb every single time. That's what they're talking about with women's rights, dude. You have no right to kill a kid in the womb, number one. That's just murder. Number two, if you want to talk about actual women's rights, dude, keep dudes out of women's sports. Have women's sports actually be a real thing in themselves, dude. When you're allowing dudes to compete against chicks in women's sports, dude, all you're doing is allowing a guy to have an unfair advantage against you, and you're completely disenfranchising females to actually get ahead in life is what it is, man. You know, look back at that Selena Soul girl and those chicks there in Connecticut and stuff like that, doing the track and field and stuff. How many of those girls got fucked out of college scholarships for athletic scholarships because of the fact that you had fucking two biological black males being like, I can get ahead in this game. I can play this rigged game. They never transitioned at all, bro. They just went over, acted like they were fucking chick now and started competing against chicks is what it was, dude. That's all they did. They never went on hormone drugs because it would disqualify them from the running to begin with, number one, on that one. And they never transitioned whatsoever, dude. It's the same thing with that piece of shit Thomas, that dude that called himself Leah Thomas. They were at UPenn or whatever it was. That dude never did fucking hormone drugs either, dude. And was beating women's records left and fucking right, man. Until finally had a bunch of chicks step up and were like, no, fuck this guy. And yet, meanwhile, the only reason they took them so long to do that was because you had the fucking piece of shit coaches being like, you don't say anything about this dude beating other chicks, man. We need to win this year. So yeah, they were fucking kowtowing to a bunch of bullshit is what it was, dude. And that's what I'm saying. Like, no, just start firing motherfuckers left and right on that one, dude. If you're gonna push that kind of bullshit, dude, your ass needs to be fired on the fucking spot is what it is, dude. If you were gonna push the fucking trans insanity, you need to be gone, bro. Be fucking gone entirely, and you need to be replaced with somebody that's not gonna push that crap. And I would say it's the same thing with Gary Click here, man. You've been in our state house, bro, for 2 fucking years at this point. You were a primary sponsor of this legislation, sir, and now you are willing to cuck out to the fucking psychotic left and potentially put in a substitute bill for this that does not need to be substituted at all, bro. No, you push the original legislation. You push what is currently HB 454 into law, sir, and do what needs to be done to save Ohio and its kids, man. Seriously, save kids from experimentation, dude. Stop allowing children to be put on fucking hormone drugs under any circumstance, dude. Stop allowing hormone drugs. Stop allowing fucking puberty blockers to be prescribed to any Ohio child. That is going to permanently sterilize that child and potentially make them commit suicide because of that, dude. Because it's going to fuck up their hormone levels because they're not even going through puberty, man. And when you're fucking stunting their growth and their possibility for puberty, dude, you wonder why it makes them psychotic and fucking insane and suicidal. That's why, dude. That's exactly why. Stop this shit. Leave the original bill intact and pass it as it is. Period. End of fucking story. That's all I'm going to say about the end of the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you all on the next one.